Well, a very warm welcome here to the University of Strathclyde, to one of the jewels of the crown of the University Estate, the Barony Hall, where this is the first graduation ceremony of the summer season. So it's wonderful to see our graduands, because that's what they are for the moment, those behind me and those before us. Over the next 45 minutes or so, they'll be converted to graduates of the University of Strathclyde as I cap them. In many ways, that's an ancient ceremony, rite of passage, as it were, celebrating their fantastic efforts and all that they have managed to achieve. And to parents, supporters, family members, friends, it's great to have you here as well. And when we get into the ceremony proper, whilst there's a degree of formality, as you can gather, I don't wear these robes every day, well, every second day just about. Please relax and let your family members or those that are about to graduate know that you're here. So polite applause, of course, but you don't need to be too formal, if you know what I mean. Let them know that we're here to celebrate their activities. Now, whilst today alone is enough to celebrate, occasionally we have an additional benefit in these ceremonies where we celebrate the achievements of excellent individuals. And today we have a wonderful individual with us today, about whom we will tell you a little bit more shortly. And I'm not going to spoil the story that our Professor David Hillier, who's one of the Associate Principals and Dean of the Business School, David will introduce our honorary graduate today before we get started proper in the capping ceremony. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome to be here. Please relax. To the graduands, just feel the excitement of what we're about to recognise. And I will now declare this celebration formally opened, and I'll invite Professor Hillier to the lectern to introduce our honorary graduate. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, I am delighted and honoured to present to you today Mr. Amar Latif. Mr. Latif is an individual who exhibits all of the university's values of being bold, ambitious, collaborative, people-oriented and innovative. He is an inspiration in both his personal and professional life, and someone who will be a fantastic ambassador for the University of Strathclyde. Who is Amar Latif? Amar is a traveller, an entrepreneur, a TV presenter, and a public speaker with a sustained track record of facing up to his own personal and professional challenges. Amar became known to millions through his groundbreaking BBC Two reality series, Beyond Boundaries, a jungle endurance expedition across Central America. Screened around the world, this was a grueling 220-mile trek on foot across the rugged interior of Nicaragua, from the Atlantic to the Pacific coast. Amar had to ford swollen rivers, cut through the dense jungle, cross waterfalls, climb a 5,000 feet active volcano, and navigate the second largest lake in Latin America. No mean feat, I'm sure you'll agree. But what makes this more noteworthy and impressive is that Amar is blind. He has an incurable eye condition, which meant that by the age of 18, he had lost 95% of his sight. What might have stopped others in their tracks made Amar determined to imprint his mark on the world. He has managed to turn a tale of loss into one of genuinely inspirational achievement. Since the Nicaragua trip, Amar has brought this can-do attitude to travel documentaries such as Travelling Blind, The Last Leg Down Under, and the award-winning BBC programme River Walks. And he made history by being the first ever blind contestant to appear on Celebrity MasterChef, making it all the way to the semi-final. Amar's talents not only lie in being front of the camera, portraying his determination, strength and resilience, but he also demonstrates all of these attributes in the business world. In 2004, Amar founded Traveleyes, the world's first commercial tour operator to specialise in holidays for blind and partially sighted travellers. He has opened the holiday travel industry to millions of blind and partially sighted people around the world, giving them the opportunity to skydive in Cuba, sail the Ionian Sea, and ski down Europe's highest mountains. Amar has travelled extensively, and he says he can't count how many countries he's now travelled to, but I hope he might be able to tell us how many today. Despite the difficulties facing global travel over the last couple of years, Amar's company is still going strong, and he's launched a new initiative, the Companion Cane, a device that facilitates sighted guiding without physical contact, to help the blind community keep on exploring during the pandemic and now in the post-pandemic world. These entrepreneurial achievements have seen Amar awarded the Outstanding Young Person of the World accolade from the Chamber of Commerce International, the prestigious Stelios Disabled Entrepreneur Award presented by Sir Stelios Hadjianu of EasyJet fame, and the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Institute of Directors. This is all exceptionally impressive, as I'm sure you'll be thinking, but that's not all. Amar is a keen charity fundraiser and supporter. He's a patron of See Ability, an ambassador for Leonard Cheshire Disability, and has been the face of appeals for other charities such as the BBC Lifeline Appeal for Retina UK, and a fundraiser and supporter of other charities such as Sightsavers and the RNIB. Amar also has the future in mind. He works with schools worldwide, taking students on a wide range of trips, whilst having them describe the sights to other blind travellers. By broadening the mindset of young people today, Amar hopes to create a more accessible world for those with vision impairments in the future. Throughout his life, Amar has shown that there should be nothing to stop us from achieving our goals, our dreams, to create and to innovate. As Amar has said, if you want something in this world which does not exist, you either go without or you build it yourself. It is with great pleasure, therefore, Principal and Vice-Chancellor, that, with the authority of Senate, I ask you to confer upon Amar Latif the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa.
Amar, I create you Doctor of the University honoris causa. We are exceptionally proud of our association with you, and it's wonderful to have you back in the Strathclyde family. Many congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, graduands and guests, thank you for such an honour. Receiving this doctorate means so much to me, and it's actually given me a lot of pause for thought. Because exactly 25 years ago, I was sat where you're sitting right now as part of my own graduation ceremony. And as a young blind guy, I remember feeling such a weird mix of optimism for my future and anxiety for entering into a world that wasn't really set up for people without sight. As I was sat there, I was just thinking, how could I ever convince someone to hire me and give me a job? I'd never in a million years have thought that one day I'd be stood up here like this. So genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thanks. But it also got me thinking about the position that I was in all those years ago. Like all of you, I just graduated from a degree that I completed under the Department of Mathematics and Statistics. And man, what a department that is, eh? Yeah. And I hope that the old tradition of throwing paper aeroplanes in lecture hall R667 still continued. Or I presume you probably got an updated technological development there. Anyway, at that point, there were two things that I wanted to do with my life. The first was I wanted to see the world. I knew that there was a beautiful world out there, and I was damned if I was going to let blindness stop me from seeing it. The second, and I'm sure you'll all agree, the more exciting goal was to become an accountant. But this was back in 1997, and back then, attitudes towards disability were pretty dire. So when I told people that I wanted to be an accountant, they tell me that I couldn't, that there was just no way that this was possible. Worse, when I told people that I wanted to travel, they'd ask me, why? What's the point of sightseeing when you can't see? Just stay at home instead. The world wasn't ready for me, but here's the thing, it's not ready for you either. I know that a lot of you will be sighted, but I'm sure that you'll all be looking at the world beyond university with the same mix of optimism and anxiety that I had. Wondering, where are you going to fit into it? Maybe if you can fit into it. Not just in terms of employment, but as a person. The world may not seem like a welcoming place right now, so here's just a little bit of advice that I want to pass on to you today. If the world is not ready for you, that is a fantastic thing. It gives you full license to tear through it and change it for the better. It may be hard, but if you're sitting here today, that's proof that you can handle it. What's important is to make sure that you're handling it on your own terms. When the finance world told me that I couldn't be an accountant, I decided to prove them wrong. When I found out that there was no way for me to travel as a solo blind person, I decided to found my own company and create a way. And after realizing throughout my life that people had so many preconceptions, I decided to reach out and make TV programs. The important words here are, I decided. Don't forget how important it is to make those decisions, to play an active part in the world around you, and to enable other people to make their own decisions. Because although the world isn't ready for you yet, I know that you are ready for it. Thank you very much.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for research in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics, Najala Alalan. Joseph Robert Leonard Cousins. John Hugh Devlin. Alistair Ferguson. Joseph Neil Harris. Kititat Yamthong. Tadas Krikstanavikas. Alexandros Kyriakis. Florence Tideman. For the degree of Master of Mathematics in Mathematics, Grant Jackson Mackey. Melissa Ellie Morgan. Anne Kennedy Patterson. In Mathematics and Statistics, Holly Black. Morgan Crook. Connor Tosh. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Data Analytics, Arthur Michael Daniel Lowe. Elias Tekel. In Mathematics, Alan Brevetti Dixon. Roslyn Louise Hay. Ryan Hussein. Kirsty Louisa Robertson. Lauren Bethany Schofield. Henry Thomas Sharp. James William Cathy. David Luke. David Stephen Tranter. Aidan Robert West. Lyle Thomas Deere. Adam David McLean. Jordan Moore. Philip Stevenson. Emery Calais. Kirsty McIver. James Grant McGee. Daniel McEwen. Jeremy Owen. Renato Palamani. Anvar Singh Gaba. Callum Thomas Webb. Lee Buist. Heather Docherty. Aviaz Hayat. Alvina Hayat. Robert Ellis Ponton. In Mathematics and Computer Science, Emily Louise Carr. Nathan McNeil. Mukadas Javed. Zainab Amani Zia. In Mathematics and Physics, Jacqueline Donna Ferguson. Lucy Margaret Gladstone Wallace. George Rutherford Green. Michael McDermott Haley. John Amara Kefala. In Mathematics and Statistics, Lucy Claire Connor. Emily Dick. Alison Susanna Donnelly. James Glover. Duncan Ian Lyle. Cara Margaret McBride. Matt McGregor. Rose Mary Grace McKenna. Gabriella Montgomery. Josephine O'Brien. Lauren Reid. Chloe Howitt Galt. Anna Louise Kelly. Megan Grace Kerr. Cheryl Janet Leslie. Kenny Lee. Robert William St. George. Eve Anna Clark. Hannah Khan. Erin McAllister. Hannah McQuillan. Casey Robertson. Brian Maverick Texan. Morgan Joe Tonner. Andrew Carrick. In mathematics with teaching, Holly Rafferty. Cara MacDonald. Luke Christopher Campbell. Andrew Hughes. Gemma Lorna Bland. Megan Cochrane. Mariam Shakur. In mathematics with teaching international, Alia Suleiman Mohammed Al Ghafri. Reem Abdallah Nasser Al Mamari. Amna Ibrahim Yusuf Al Mujini. Safa Yusuf Abdullah Al Namani. Wad Musa Kamis Al Balushi. Hafsa Ali Hilal Rashid Al Maskari. In mathematics, statistics and accounting, Ben Gregory Bores. Alvin Chan. Luke Thomas Donnelly. Matthew Peter Mottram. Chloe Jane MacDonald. In mathematics, statistics and business analysis, Heather Sarah Hamilton. Lydia Chim. Ellen Hamilton. Emily Taylor. Mark Andrew Wilson. Dylan Edward Carrigan. Nathan George Nicholas. In mathematics, statistics and economics, Hamish Stiles. Emily Taylor. Callum Murphy. Jamie Scott Ferguson. In mathematics, statistics and finance, Carla Frew. Ewan Gray. Ben John MacDonald. Connor MacDonald. Lisa Rose Boyle. Fadil Kevin Defogang Dongmo. Jennifer Lafferty. Lewis Lynch. Josh Malcolm. Jamie Meacham. Ewan Jordan Miller. Andy Moses. Elodie Navarro. Naomi Tay. Alexander Ferguson. Jade Forsyth. Raisa Elia Khan. Thomas James Shenton. Davinder Singh. Hannah Keenan. Megan Onyi Young. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for Research in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics, Pengfei Fang. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Maths and Stats, Jingcho Chu.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give this class of 2022 a big round of applause. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, Strathclyde graduates, as you are now, let me reiterate our warm welcome to this wonderful ceremony, a date that none of you will forget, as it marks the successful conclusion of years of hard work. And now you've graduated in front of your proud families, your friends and your supporters. And today, as you've seen, we welcome visitors from all parts of Scotland, from across the UK, and of course, from a wonderful international community. And we're delighted to see you all here to join in the celebrations. Strathclyde, your university, is an institution where freedom of thought is both valued and encouraged. We're a place that seeks to be both tolerant and inclusive, and where people of diverse national, cultural and social backgrounds come together to enjoy excellent education and a shared student experience. And at Strathclyde, we all benefit from having students and staff from over 100 countries. Ours is a socially progressive community, one that seeks to be an exemplar for modern society. We are plural, we're multicultural, and we're enlightened. It's our responsibility, it's your responsibility to continue to challenge unacceptable practices, including by those in power, by using reason and by exemplifying the best features of modern society. And boy, are we surrounded by challenges, whether it's in the governance of our nations, whether it's the inhumane and horrifying acts of aggression that we see in Eastern Europe. It's down to you, the next generation of Strathclyders, as you heard from Amar, to get out there. The world may not be ready for you just yet, but you make your presence felt when you get out there and make a difference. But of course, most importantly, we're here today to acknowledge your hard work and the learning that you've built up and the successful completion of your degree. And that will be your passport to making a full contribution to your career and to society, in spite of the flux that we're currently facing. And today we're celebrating our first regular in-person graduation ceremony since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, which has had far-reaching and unprecedented impacts in all of our lives. The pandemic has challenged our health systems, it has impacted our economies, and it has changed the way in which we work and study. However, it has also allowed us to demonstrate what society can achieve when we work together, when we collaborate, when we build in that magic element of trust and cooperation. And that's placed science, research and education at the forefront of finding the solutions to the challenges that we face. It was science, universities and innovative industry that delivered the vaccines for the COVID-19 virus in record time. And it is science, engineering and education that will help us address other pressing issues, such as climate change. As you all know, in November last year, Glasgow hosted COP26, and proud to do so. That was the summit of world leaders which came together to agree measures to minimise global warming and climate change. And the Glasgow Climate Pact that we know so much about, I think, will be a turning point. As a university community, we take our responsibility seriously and we seek to reduce our impact on the planet. And that's why we've set a target to reduce our carbon emissions by 70% by 2025 and to reach net zero as an institution before 2040. And COP26 saw the world coming to Glasgow, as well as Glasgow reaching out to the world. And we engaged very effectively at Strathclyde with key international figures here in the city. I had the privilege of meeting John Kerry, the Special Presidential Envoy for Climate for President Biden, Alok Sharma, President of COP, who was on our campus on a couple of occasions, opening the Conference of Youth and hearing about our contributions, and Michael Bloomberg. I'm an electrical engineer. I was intrigued to find out one of the world's richest men was also an electrical engineer originally. They had a real interest in what we were doing. And the highlight, of course, was when we hosted former US President Barack Obama here on the campus. Mr. Obama came here to speak with young people about the important role that you play in tackling climate change. And remember all of that in your works, in your efforts and in your personal lives. Every small part of contribution makes a difference. And Barack Obama had a simple but powerful message for those who had gathered outside our new learning and teaching building. He was here for 3 or 4 hours. As he paused in the steps before he went back into the car, he shouted out 2 simple words, and that was, get active. And I'd repeat that to you here today, to our graduates. Get active. Get active in your careers, in your lives, and what you do to make a difference and apply yourselves effectively. I'm proud to say I'm a son of Glasgow. I was brought up here in the city, just on the other side of the Clyde, in a small town called Govan. And that town's historical motto is nihil sine labore, or nothing without hard work. And I try to embrace that ethos every day I work. And I would recommend that you take that approach forward with your passport of a Strathclyde degree, your vision, your mission, the drive, and don't forget, hard work is very often the thing that makes a difference. But today you've become Strathclyde alumni, and you're the latest of our torchbearers just like those in many generations of graduates before you. And with all that you've successfully come through, I'm sure you would agree with me that you couldn't have done this without the backing and encouragement of the community of supporters around you. And it's fitting that we acknowledge their part in the successful completion of your university studies. Our graduates and the university at large owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. And as the first in my own family to have gone to university, as it happens here at Strathclyde, I know the importance of such support. So, graduates, Strathclyde staff, please join me in thanking the families, friends and supporters for all that they've done to make today possible. Thank you very much. And for our fantastic academic and administrative staff too, this is a very important day for them because your success is their reward. And we've worked hard to provide you with high-quality education and a first-class university experience for all of our students, regardless of background. So let me invite our new graduates to join me in thanking our staff for all that they've done to support you. Thank you. As you shortly leave the hall today, it's important for you to remember just a little bit about your institution. Strathclyde was founded in 1796, so we're 226 years old this year, although I still like to think of us as a 200-year-old start-up organisation, retaining that same sense of excitement and purpose as in the time of our establishment. And throughout our history, the University of Strathclyde has remained faithful to our founding principles. We were established, and I quote, with the words of the time, for the benefit of all mankind. That means an impact, a challenge to society, and pathways for all of our graduates and our academic staff to get into the world. And we were the only higher education institution to be established in Scotland during the time of the Enlightenment. That's a real distinction for us. And we're now driving forward our university strategy in that same exciting spirit, making it wholly relevant to the 21st century. Our founder was a man called Professor John Anderson, a natural philosopher, or physicist as we would call him today. He had strong links with Benjamin Franklin, that I'm sure you've all heard of, the American inventor and academic. And Franklin had been one of the founders of the University of Pennsylvania in 1751 under the motto of useful knowledge. And this, along with the Enlightenment in Europe, inspired our founder, John Anderson, who created this notion of useful learning. And that's what he left in his will, that drive to create a new institution in Glasgow. And never has his philosophy been so relevant since our establishment over 200 years ago. And the motto, known by all of our staff and students, and carry that away with you today, still defines our purpose as a leading international technological university that is committed to being socially progressive. For example, across our campus and in the buildings that you'll have passed on your way to the Barony Hall today, our academics and students are developing drugs to diagnose and fight diseases. For example, we have several drugs on clinical trials in the areas of cancer treatment, kidney disease, infection management, and inflammatory diseases. Strathclyders are producing energy technologies and policy solutions to tackle climate change and to help establish a low-carbon economy. And we're revolutionising global manufacturing and helping to create the fourth industrial revolution, so-called Industry 4.0, with robotics, artificial intelligence, automation, the advanced materials. Our students continue their work in Africa, establishing clean and safe water supplies, power supplies, deploying healthcare systems in remote communities, and introducing new telecommunications infrastructure. We're also bringing prosthetic limb and bioengineering technologies to those in need. And we're also working to inform public policy, so necessary for those that make the laws and govern these countries, to be informed by evidence and data, not just opinion, driving forward national economic strategy and in education, health, energy and innovation strategies. Our staff in the Technology and Innovation Centre, our TIC building down on George Street, they are working with industry on low-carbon energy, on photonics and pharmaceuticals. The American inventor Thomas Edison, another famous name, called his technical teams and laboratories his inventions factory. Well, TIC has become our innovations factory, connected to industry, attracting investment into the city and into Scotland, and pushing out the fantastic army of talent, such as those that we have in the hall with us today. So we have reinforced Strathclyde's leadership by creating Scotland's first innovation district, here in the heart of the city, through our TIC building, the Unovo building. We're in the throes of making our final business case for another £100 million investment that will connect TIC down onto High Street and attract the very best of investors, working in partnership with Scottish Government, Scottish Enterprise, the Chamber of Commerce and Entrepreneurial Scotland. So we're working on medtech, fintech, quantum technology, industrial informatics, 5 and 6G communications and space technology, a Pandora's box of intellectual capability and world-class facilities, and the university itself driving about £2 billion a year into the Scottish economy. And people are coming with us on that journey. Just last year, one of our most valued alumni members, Dr. Charles Wang, donated £50 million to the university, the 5th highest investment of its type in UK higher education history. Charles had an MBA and a PhD from Strathclyde, and you may not be aware of him, but you've come across one of his products from Innova Medical Group, where the lateral flow tests that we've all been using over the past 2.5 years or so, much of that driven out by Charles's company, is now seeking to create a £1 billion charitable fund to give back to society, not least of which to create the next generation of talent and research that will help us tackle global pandemics. I mentioned the Glasgow City Innovation District out at the airport. Now that we're all getting a little bit more mobile, you'll see at the edge of the runway out there a large building with a rather serrated roof. You may have actually noticed it already. That's the National Manufacturing Institute for Scotland that Strathclyde will operate. And adjacent to that, the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, which is accelerating the ability to not only discover drugs, but get them produced, packaged and distributed. Again, useful learning at its very best. And through useful learning, we provide business and industry with the tools that they need to be more innovative and to promote economic growth. And that helps create jobs, not only for our graduates, but for those in the area. Here in the city, we have a big challenge from an economic inclusion point of view, and out at the airport in Renfrewshire. And Strathclyde is catalysing real opportunity for many people to help create quality of life that is both sustainable and healthy. But most importantly, we help people transform their lives and the lives of their families through education. As I mentioned earlier, we still attract many first-generation graduates here to the university. And that's some of the reasons why we've had a terrific sequence of recognitions independently of what we do and how we do it. In recent years, we've been recognised in the annual UK Times Higher Education Awards as the UK University of the Year twice, the only UK university to have achieved that twice. The Sunday Times named the Scottish University of the Year, and we've been named the Higher Education Workplace of the Year, amongst many others. And that talks about not just what we do, but how we do it, the Strathclyde way, inclusive, values-led, and focused on making a difference. So Strathclyde continues to demonstrate the ability to have disproportionate impacts, principally and mainly through all of you, our graduates. You're the people that will get out there and make a difference, but also in the quality of our research. And the Faculty of Science, under the leadership of Professor Duncan Graham here today, they are there to translate our knowledge to the benefit of society and create value and impact both for industry and public sector partners. We're a real driver for the economic growth in Scotland and beyond, and we have a distinct role in that national objective. Universities have to be seen as a strategic investment, not a cost. And while the university government invests about 1.2 billion in higher education from the Scottish Government, I should say, the sector in turn delivers in excess of £10 billion of value back into the economy. And certainly those in the Faculty of Science make me proud to know that they're well on their way to double the effects of their education and their research. So that's the exciting context within which you should view your awards. You're now graduates of a university that places our students at the heart of everything that we do. We value excellence, both in education and research, and we create strong connections with society at large, as well as with the business world. And with regard to internationalisation, we talked about our own community of international people here on our campus, but we reach out, just as the very best universities in the world do, to contribute, collaborate and compete on the international stage. And we're no different. In the United States, our strategic partners include Stanford, New York University and MIT, with strong partnerships with the University of Southern California and Waterloo in Canada. In China, It's the Peking and Tsinghua universities, number 1 and number 2 in that country, as well as the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, with many others. And we have a raft of strong partnerships across the European Union. That's even more important post-Brexit, that we keep that connectivity of the benefit of our students and the channels for our research to make a difference. But of course, our students, all of you, have benefited directly from being part of an international university. That's helping you to emerge with the skills necessary both for yourselves, for Scotland, and for those countries that you will seek to work in. And you've also been exposed to the richness and value of different cultures and traditions. But most importantly, all of you are going to leave here today understanding your obligations as global citizens. And with regard to our socially progressive mission, we remain the leading Scottish research-intensive university for widening participation in our programmes, from students that come from some of the most challenged communities in Scotland, from the communities that I belong to in Govan, just on the other side of the river, and from across Glasgow in the west of Scotland. Almost 1,300 have joined us this year, with over 500 coming from communities that face the greatest challenges. And yet, in that same period, we've retained our 5th place in the UK for entrance qualifications, dismissing the notion that standards are adversely affected through the strategic commitment to widening access. Just this month, whilst you're the first cohort for this year's summer season, I think it was 2 weeks ago, in this hall, we had the graduation from the Children's University. We had 150 young people with their capes and their mortarboards, aged 5 to 12, from some of the challenged communities around the city, from the schools that we reach out to, come up here and celebrate what they've done. They have learning passports. If they go to the Glasgow Science Centre, they get a digital stamp. If they go to the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery to do the same, night classes, night school, and they take their mums and dads with them. And with their mothers and fathers in here, the majority of whom had never been across the threshold of a university. And here they came, getting that hunger for learning, getting that recognition and reward, and so it will continue. And I have to say, I particularly enjoy those ceremonies, because one of the few ceremonies where I get to look tall when I'm capping these students. But what a joy, and if we could have harnessed the energy in the room when these young people were here, I would have a new form of renewable energy. But with all of that, we characterise finally Strathclyde in 2022. And I would describe us as being distinctive and having an ambition, focus and momentum that's true to our roots. And we continue to work with agility and commitment so necessary to absorb the thumps and bumps and the continuing challenges in our sector, as well as the political and economic uncertainties that we all face. It's a privilege, truly, for me to lead this great institution with the superb support I get from my executive team, as well as from the broader community of academics, professional services and support staff. And I really do believe that our founder, John Anderson, would recognise what we're doing today as the realisation of what he sought to establish during the Scottish Enlightenment, namely useful learning. And Strathclyde now seeks, in this modern society, to be an agent for positive change here in the city, across Scotland, in the UK and in the world stage. So, to all of you in the Barony Hall today, I'm certain that today's graduates will have an enormous impact in society, and that 2022 can truly become a vintage year. You've shown resilience, you've shown maturity, and you've ultimately been successful, and we're all very proud of you as a result. And with that in mind, as you leave the hall today, you leave not just with an award, but take away the responsibility. As today's graduates, you now join the alumni community from Strathclyde that numbers almost 200,000 people out there in the world making a difference. And remember that whatever you do with your degree and whatever you choose to pursue your career, truly useful learning means that you apply your knowledge for the benefits of others. Make a positive impact, please, both for yourselves and the communities that you belong to. Respect diversity, value freedom of expression and thought, and do reach conclusions and resolve disputes through reason and tolerance. These characterise the core values of your university. But finally, let me return to today's celebration. We're all here to mark the achievements of those who have been awarded their degrees. On behalf of the University of Strathclyde, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations to all of you and wish you every success in your future careers. Please do stay in touch with us and let us know about your progress. Well done again, and please enjoy the rest of this very special day. Thank you very much. So just as we close, colleagues, graduates, when we close the ceremony, we're going to come off the stage, we're going to march down the hall into the sparkling sunshine. For those of you that haven't visited Glasgow very often, the weather is always like this, let me tell you. In fact, it's a wee bit cool today, but we will march out of the hall, we'll take a right turn, and we're going to go up to the Learning and Teaching building where there's a reception there, where there's some refreshments, and we'll have a chance to mingle and have a chat. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to declare the ceremony formally closed. Thank you very much. It's been a most enjoyable afternoon, and I'll now ask you to be upstanding. Thank you very much.